Let me tell you, I'm 8 years old. I adored my grandmother. She has had the greatest impact upon my life.
Grandmom.
Mama Wicks, my life and my work of anyone in the world. And they lived in a coal mining town. Every weekend I went there 9 miles away. And in the music room, they had an 18-foot high music room, and they had built a church-sized pipe organ into the wall of that room. And on the shelf of the pipe organ were 2 beautiful, ancient Chinese vases. I'm 8 years old. And every Saturday I go, I say, Mama Wicks, may I please play with the vases? Or may I please touch the vases? The answer always was, no, no one may ever touch the Chinese vases. So one Saturday, I guess I'm feeling very assertive at 8. I actually stamped my foot at my grandmother. I said, I want those vases. Instead of telling me I'm a bad girl, she puts her arm around me. And she takes me to the love seat facing the vases and the pipe organ. Let me tell you about those vases. And she told me this story. Long, long ago, when your mother was 8 years old, there was a Chinese laundryman in our little town, South Fork, Pennsylvania. He lived in a little white shed that was his laundry. He slept behind the laundry, his tubs. Every Tuesday, he picked up your grandfather's shirts. He brought them back Thursday, beautifully washed, starched, and ironed. He wore traditional Chinese dress. And sometimes your mother and her little sisters would come home from school crying because the bad boys were chasing Mr. Yi. They would call him Chinky, Chinky, and far worse, and try to pull his cue. One day there's a knock on the kitchen door. My grandmother said, I opened it. There was Mr. Yi with a large package wrapped in newspaper. And I said, oh, Mr. Yi, please come in. Won't you sit down? She stood there, handed her the package. She said, this is for you. She opened it, and here were these 2 beautiful ancient Chinese vases. And she said, oh, Mr. Yi, I couldn't possibly accept them. They're far too valuable. I want you to have them, he said. I'm going back to China. I have been here 10 years, and they won't let me bring my wife and my children. And the only thing I brought with me were my vases. I want you to have them. My grandmother said, but Mr. Yi, why do you want me to have them? This Chinese gentleman looked at her. He had tears. He said, Mrs. Wicks, I have been in this town for 10 years, and you were the only person who ever called me Mr. Yi. And that was a defining moment when I learned respect for all people. And my grandmother and Mr. Yi traveled with me.